Wow, good morning. Something strange just happened. I recorded a video at 3:33, and when I went to put the title into the thing to save it as with the title, it wouldn't paste into the thing. It kept being blank and blank, and finally the whole video just disappeared. I mean, it's gone. The whole thing I just recorded just went somewhere, and I have no clue where it went. It went back to the beginning in Windows Live Movie Maker. It went back to the beginning and was gone. Whew. Frustrating, but I will do it again. Standing up for principles is never failure is the title for the video for the 4th of September. Yesterday I was accused of failing myself and my mission over the reimbursement issue. I want to make it clear. The ambassador offered more than once to handle it with his own funds, and I kept on saying it was up to the family. He told me again yesterday, yes, we talked briefly, that I do not understand how things work in Hong Kong. He's right. I have no idea. I do, however, resent the allegations by a certain individual that I somehow failed. I have and will continue to stand up for principles that I see as necessary to liberate humanity from the fraud, extortion, and slavery of the current system. As long as that system goes unchallenged, we all fail. I am convinced the ambassador is fighting for us. I am also convinced that it is the will of God for humanity to be liberated from the beast. If I can help any of the powers that hold our assets in trust to see the principles that must be applied, I will succeed. I believe some are hearing me, and I will never give up. I began by talking about the Corbett report that Peter Egler posted on my Facebook wall yesterday, and the first question he dealt with was about the BRICS nations being just another face of the same powers that be that we've been dealing with. It's just an Eastern face instead of a Western face, but it's still the same game plan of enslavement of humanity. And others have suggested that the dragons are just reptilians and that they're just putting window dressing on their agenda. I hope to God that James Corbett and the people that make those allegations are wrong. The principles that we must stand up for, the principles that I stand up for, are, there's a number of them actually. First of all, the Admiralty Maritime Courts must be totally ended, brought down, with no remaining authority whatsoever, because they operate in fraud and outside of the law. They must be replaced with common law courts around the world. If we don't achieve that, we will not be able to have the freedom and the liberty that we want. As long as the Admiralty courts still can imprison people and have the power to steal from people and take from people in violation of their rights, ignoring affidavits, ignoring common law principles, and what do you call it, of law, maxims of law. As long as they can get away with ignoring those and not dealing with things justly, we will not have justice on earth. As long as the power companies are able to hold us in bondage to the current oil and electrical system on the planet, we will not be able to achieve freedom. As long as they are able to continue with their pharmaceuticals to keep introducing things that kill and things that make people sick, they're doing harm. As long as that's able to continue, there will not be health on earth. We will not be healthy people. And if we're not healthy people and we're fighting for our very survival, we will not be able to fully ascend or fully wake up or fully become enlightened and grow up and have our evolution of consciousness. We're being held by these things in the current system, and these are things that we must change. They're principles that must be adhered to. The people in Swiss Indo understand that. The delegates understood that very strongly, and I trust that Mr. Sino, Mr. Sugi understands it, and I trust that the Red Dragon and all of the Dragon family understands that if we're going to liberate humanity, it has to be based on principles of truth. It has to be based on principles of fairness and justice, that nobody can be allowed to slip through the cracks and not be accountable for their actions. The principles of the OPPT, of foreclosing on these slavery trade corporations and bringing them down by their own rules, that needs to be honored worldwide. These are principles that I will keep on fighting for. The republics need to be restored in the principle of a republic needs to be restored in every country where the government is not an authority over the people, but has to answer to the people, and where governments derive their just power, which is their only just power, from the consent, the non-coerced consent of the people. That's the way it's supposed to be. These are principles that I will fight for again and again and again, and I will stand up with anybody. Now, I do believe the ambassador has a heart to want these things to come about. I mean, I've spent hours and hours and hours with him, as I said in the previous one that didn't take, the one that disappeared out into thin air. As I said in that, I would imagine that since May the 1st of this year, he and I have averaged 2 hours a day talking to each other. And there's days that it's been 4 hours, and there's been days that it's been less than that. But I mean, we've averaged probably at least 2 hours a day in conversation with each other. And I do believe that I have gotten to know him enough to know his heart, and that his heart is in the right place. But I want to believe that the family that he's talking about, the people that he's talking about, are also wanting as much as he does to do the right thing, to overcome the beast and to give humanity that which humanity deserves. Now, there are people that are telling me again and again that these, as I said, are just reptilians, that the dragons are just reptilians, and that they have the same agenda. It's just a different face on the same agenda. And as I said, God, I hope not. We need, folks, to stand in our truth and not give up, not fail in making our voices heard. We need to overcome all of the brainwashing and all of the programming of the matrix. We need to do this together. And it's not about throwing stones. I've been trying my best to build bridges. I've been trying my best to get people to understand what's involved. This is our freedom. This is the lives of our children and our grandchildren that we're fighting for. This is the sustenance of the very earth itself. Will earth be able to be sustained? It won't be sustained under the old system. The corporate structures must go. That's why Swiss Indo was creating something brand new, the CVAC system, the Creation Value Asset Centers. That is a beautiful idea that Heather came up with, and was actually plans were drawn up by the Swiss Indo delegates. These are things that need to be employed in the earth, and this is what I stand for. This is what I stand for. I am not standing with anybody because they claim to be a royal bloodline or something like that. That's meaningless to me. That doesn't matter to me. Are you willing to do the right thing? Are you willing to honor the trust that is placed in you by God to to lead righteously, to lead in truth? Are you willing to do what is necessary to bring humanity to a place where we are finally liberated from the corruption, from the fraud, from the violations of our free will, which isn't free when at the point of a gun or the threat of imprisonment or something like that, we are forced to submit to something that is wrong, that is not in the highest and best based on natural law. Again, natural law is all about not doing harm and not violating the free will of any other, or as the ambassador always says, stop aggressing. Now, I've been facing a lot of challenges. I've been doing a lot of introspection. I've been doing a lot of prayer. I've been taking a lot of things in, thinking about them, feeling them, just spending time quietly alone, because I don't want to fail in my mission. My mission is to help create a world that works for everybody, a world based on truth and justice and mercy and kindness and compassion. Oh, yes, I'm an idealist. Even my son thinks I'm an idealist. He said there will always be violence. Well, I'd like to minimize the violence to the extent possible and minimize the cruelty of man to man, the cruelty of people enslaving other people and coercing and manipulating. And the system does that. Nothing on earth is more corrupt than our governments. Nothing violates the prime directive. Nothing violates free will. Nothing violates humanity's rights more than our governments, than our corporate institutions on a multinational level. If all they're going to do is move the control from the west to the east and set up a similar system, and that BRICS ends up being nothing any better than what we had before, then I feel I will at least have failed in accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish, but I will not fail in standing up for my integrity and standing up for people's rights and standing up for principles of truth. That can never be a failure. Now, I'm sorry this individual felt it was necessary to criticize me the way that he did yesterday. He is someone who also works with the ambassador and works with the family, and he has not liked me from the beginning. Virtually from the beginning, he was very judgmental, very critical of me. And I don't know that this individual, apparently from what the ambassador tells me, causes problems with everybody. He's very abrasive in his accusations, very critical, and it's not just me, it's everybody. But in any case, I want you to know that I did not fail, that I did not fail, that I stood up for the principles that I believe are right and true and what humanity needs to accomplish. And we need to accomplish it together. And I want the people that have been involved in all of this at the highest levels to see what we're saying, to hear what we're saying, and to understand that we're fighting for our very freedom, for our very lives, because we know that the powers that be want to destroy most of the world and wants to bring humanity back to where we have to start over again or to make it a controllable thing. They don't care. They want to stop the evolution of consciousness. They want to stop the awakening. They want to send us back into an earlier age where control was easier, where there's more ignorance. Well, we don't want that. We want the evolution to continue, and I pray to God and I pray to the angelic powers that be to weed out, to do your job. It's your job to go forth and to weed out the tares. And I ask the angelic realm to do that, to do your job, weed out the tares on this planet so that we can establish and see established the kingdom of heaven on earth. I see that this is not as long as the last video was, which was almost 16 minutes, but I think I'm finished for now. Thank you and namaste.